Our tradition is there were 1.2 million people in history that were prophets, but the vast majority of them, their message were only for their generation and didn't have any bearing on future generations. Therefore, whatever they conveyed was not included in the canon.
All right, you'll have on there. Go ahead and tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Miriam. I'm calling from Minneapolis.
Welcome back.
It's good to be back. My question today was kind of about what are the parameters for knowing, like, if somebody's a prophet? Because I know that you've said in videos before that there's been a lot more prophets than, of course, like our great prophets that are in the book throughout history. But yeah, because like I know when I was in Pentecostal and Baptist ministries back in the day, they would give lectures about like gifts of the Spirit and how you can like hone these different gifts, and prophecy is one of them. But from the Jewish lens, what makes a person a prophet?
We have two chapters that supply the answer to your question. It's just very simple. It's very straightforward. The Pentecostal movement started a little more than 100 years ago in California. It's not the first time the Pentecostal movement was invented. There were other iterations of them. In fact, Tertullian, the guy who invented the Trinity in the very beginning of the 3rd century, he belonged to a version of the Pentecostal movement. It's not the modern one, but they had one at that time. In any case, they were all considered heretics for that reason. That's why Tertullian is not called Saint Tertullian, because he slipped up on a number of things, but he's still considered a very important Christian theologian. Your answer to your question is very simple. Torah tells us in Deuteronomy 13, Deuteronomy 18. That's all you need. So, number one, that a prophet is someone who shares something with you that cannot deviate at all from what it says in the Torah. It's the most important thing. Even if he could do miracles, signs and wonders, those words should sound very familiar to you. So if he tells you don't follow the Torah, tells you even one mitzvah has been abrogated or adds a mitzvah. Now he's saying not that there's a rabbinic commandment, there are, but we're not allowed to say that it's biblical. So it means if he adds a commandment or takes away a commandment and says it's from the Torah, so then he's a false prophet. He's speaking presumptuously in my name. How is it that he was able to perform miracles? He was able to perform signs, which means tell you the future about things that would happen, and lo and behold, they happened. The Torah says, Deuteronomy 13, is Parshas Re'eh, do not listen to that prophet or dream of Jesus. I didn't send them, saith Lord. Which raises the question, how is it that the false religions are able to produce miraculous events, foretell the future, what appears to be? Hashem says, I'm only testing you to see if you love me. I'm only testing you to see if you love me. It says it openly, okay? However, we move on to Deuteronomy 18, where a prophet must be able to perform miracles. So the only thing is that his message cannot deviate from the Torah. There's not a new commandment in Isaiah. Isaiah is a big sefer, a large sefer of 66 chapters. Jeremiah is even a larger sefer, a larger book than Isaiah. Jeremiah is only 52 chapters because Jeremiah's chapters are very big, so it's actually much bigger than Isaiah. But they don't introduce no new mitzvah, nothing, closed, sealed, finished. Now, a person is allowed to say to himself, I'm not going to go to Las Vegas. I'm not going to go to Vegas because it's not a place that a God-fearing person should be. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying a person is allowed to say that. You can't say that the Torah says that's a commandment. You can put whatever stringencies upon yourself as you wish. You just can't say that God said it. That's fine. And you can create barriers for yourself because you know your weaknesses and your strength and so on. So it's very, very simple. There are two things that are a Navi, and you're quite right in pointing it out. Although there are much less than 100 Nevi'im mentioned in Tanakh or contributing or in Tanakh, our tradition is there were 1.2 million people in history that were prophets. 1.2 million. Kuflaim Kietz Misraim, twice as many as those who went out of Egypt, meaning men between the ages of 20 and 60. But the vast majority of them, their message were only for their generation and didn't have any bearing on future generations. Therefore, whatever they conveyed was not included in the canon. Those nevuos that are nitnu l'dayros, that are given for all future generations, so their nevuah was nitlu l'dayros, which means they were given for all future generations, are relevant to me today as they were when they were first preached. So those are included in the canon. They're always speaking to you. What Isaiah is doing is he's just saying you're putting too much emphasis on this and not on this, and you got to this is where you're messing up a lot, and you got to pay attention to this. That's what they're doing. They're saying this is something you're really not doing very well. But whatever Isaiah is talking about is in the Torah. He's not inventing a new religion, okay? But he's speaking bin nevuah about future events that would unfold. Thank you so much for your thoughtful question, and to all of you, shalom. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל